Okay, we are back. We're still continuing to talk about gap running schemes, but now we're going to talk about duo. Now, if you've been following along on this series, you may have seen us discuss and break down inside zone. And in that video, Ian talked a lot about how when people see an inside run zone, especially from Texas, they may confuse it either as inside zone or duo. But we're going to talk about the specifics of duo, what makes duo a gap scheme, and how Texas plans on running it. So, Ian, what is the difference between an inside zone and a duo run scheme?
Oh man, um, I, this has been the subject of endless debates. I once saw this coach try to do like a choose your adventure,
Sure.
and it was like every question would help tell you if it was inside zone or duo, and it did just the questions just kept sprinkling down.
Because they do look very much alike. I mean, because it's happening so quickly. There's just nuances to it. So I'm sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted. Go ahead.
So that the way Texas runs inside zone under Steve Sarkisian is that the running back is still kind of a lateral play. He's aiming for the B gap across from him and then making reads based on how the blocks progress. The way a coach like Tom Herman ran inside zone was much more direct. Immediate double teams, running backs aiming initially for the A gap and making his cut from a very downhill trajectory rather than the lateral trajectory of traditional inside zone. Duo is basically Tom Herman inside zone. It's emphasis on immediate double teams, vertical push at the line of scrimmage, and theoretically on duo, the running back takes the straight ahead angle and he reads an unblocked linebacker behind the double teams. And based on where the linebacker fits, that tells him, am I going to take this down Main Street? Am I going to bounce left? Am I going to bounce right? The way most teams do it, though, they usually have the double team work their way up to the linebacker, like on inside zone. So most of the Venn diagrams and the choose your adventure things that try to tease out a difference between duo and inside zone ultimately fail. Tight inside zone and duo are just basically the same thing. Texas, when they run it, they call it duo.
Well, we talk again. The standard question in this is what type of offensive line is going to profile to this?
I think duo is a very friendly scheme to the offensive line in general because it's called a gap scheme because you're still aiming at a specific point. You're still trying to overpower the other team at a specific gap. And you may have a tight end or a fullback or even a wide receiver trying to kick the guy out on the edge and then a double team. You just don't have the lead blocker pulling from one side or the other. But it's very friendly to offensive linemen because the thing that's easiest about power counter gap schemes, which is having a double team at the point of attack, that's still there. The harder part, where you have to pull from one side to the other and find the right guy to block and then make good contact on him when he's smaller and faster than you and maybe sees you coming, that's gone. You don't have to do that anymore. So you could have a small athletic line and they can be covered up by the fact that they get to execute double teams, or you can have a big, fat, slow line and they can be covered up by the fact that they don't have to pull. It's a very, very friendly scheme, very, very popular. You do have to be strong. You do have to execute your double teams well and get push. If you can't push the other team backwards, then it's going to suck. And you're going to suck too. So weak people cannot apply.
Well, let's diagram this and look at some tape as soon as we hear from our sponsor.
This video is brought to you by Andre the Lawyer. If you're injured, trust the team that secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans with their injury case. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, and wrongful deaths. Don't let insurance tell you what your claim is worth. Hire Andre the Lawyer to fight for you. Principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait and call Andre the Lawyer today at 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. The contact information is in the description.
For those of you that have ever watched any of our other run scheme videos, you will note that sometimes it's a bit of a spaghetti monster on there with all the different lines going around. Not a lot of lines on this one, at least not a lot of long lines on this one. So what I'm noticing here is I'm noticing the defensive tackles are they're getting that double team. Is that where the duo comes from?
That's right.
Ah, there we go.
Two double teams. Now, little caveat.
Okay.
When Texas runs it with only one tight end, sometimes the only double team they can get by alignment is on the target defensive tackle on the backside. So it'd be the T here. And do you know what they call it when they only have one tight end and it's one for sure double team?
I don't. Is it?
It's what do you say when you've got only one card left in that popular children's card game?
You call it Uno?
Uno. That's right.
Wow. Great.
So I actually drew Uno from a spread set, but it's the same thing. If you can imagine an H outside of the Y to help just create an even more extended surface and more potential double team blocks, that'd be the only difference. And what we're going to see next is when we get to the clip, it'll be an Uno type duo.
Is it pretty common? I'm looking at this. It makes sense to me that the running back, at least based on this diagram, this is an A gap situation. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Is that generally when the duo is executed? Is if they're going to run A gap?
Yeah. Now the ball can fit usually off the double team. That W here would be unblocked, or he would be blocked late if the double team gets all the way out to him. And he's going to initially aim really tight behind, like to the left of the center, basically behind the double team. And he's going to make his cut based on how the linebacker handles the stress or based on opportunities that he may see emerge as a result of the blocking pattern.
Okay, great. Yeah, let's see what this looks like. Okay, here we go. This, I believe, is Texas, Mississippi State. We've got Arch at quarterback, which is convenient considering what's going to be happening over the next few years. Here we go. Why don't you walk us through what's happening pre-snap?
Whenever you see just a ton of dudes to one side, and it's the same side as the running back, then you know that duo to that side is likely imminent. Because they have all those guys there so that they can get double teams. And then the running back can just get the ball going pretty much straight ahead, read how they react to the double teams and make his cut. It's very straight ahead, downhill, smash mouth football. I think most of the double teams they're going to get on this one, they even bring in a receiver to help block the edge. And I think the main target on this one is actually the defensive end. He's the guy that's going to get just the worst treatment because there's so many bodies over there, and it allows Texas to kind of manhandle that guy. The Mississippi State defenders do so poorly that they don't even maintain the double teams for very long before they're just releasing guys to the second level. Which,
yes, we see Majors here is already on the linebacker.
Yeah, that's more of a Mississippi State thing than a duo thing.
Fair enough.
But you see, like they have the initial like hand just to see like, am I needed here? And then like, I'm not needed here. Just gonna get on down to the next guy. And there we have it.
Yeah, it looks like, I mean, if you look at this, it's like Majors is literally holding the line there for a moment, and really, I mean, it's just not, it's wholly unnecessary.
Yeah. At this point in the game, Mississippi State may not have been so game. Gunnar Helm ends up one-on-one with that end because Banks is like, you got it. Forget the plan. I'll just go get this other guy. And that'll be a question next year because duo, you do need the tight ends to create the extended surface and to get all the double teams. And, we'll see if Texas's tight ends are up for that this coming year or not.
So that's one example. Let's look at another example of duo that's maybe a little bit more duo-esque.
Yeah, on this one, First, you're going to see Arch Manning. This is a good sign. All the guys, all the bodies to help block are on the left. So the running back should also be on the left. And the running back maybe didn't know that. So Arch Manning gives him a little reminder like, hey, you go over there. This is good for Arch Manning. Not just amazing for the play because now it's, your intentions are that much more obvious to the defense.
Sure, right.
And on the goal line, duo is great because it's all about double teams. And you're going to emphasize the double teams more when it's like all that super matters here is that first yard or two, and then we're in the promised land. So make sure the guys closest to the ball don't have a chance to get in the running back's way before then. So double teams on the left side. Gunnar Helm literally behind his left tackle, helping to push that guy so that the ball can just go straight into the end zone. He only comes off late when the guy comes in, and then in we go, touchdown.
So if I'm looking at this, it doesn't. I'm not really seeing the double team on the right side. Can you help me understand that a little bit?
You focus your double team on the play side.
Okay.
Which is part of what makes it. This is part of why people put it in the gap family of schemes.
Right.
Because you have your targeted area. On the other side, sometimes it almost looks like even like a draw.
Right.
All that matters is that those guys don't get into the backfield. You're going to create your intended displacement with the double teams on your duo side. And this is also an 11 personnel run. Even though they have all these bodies jammed up there, they only have one tight end and two receivers. So they're just creating the same effect of duo, but from a spread set and just bringing in the receivers to be physical, hoping to catch the other team in a smaller personnel package.
I mean, this would not be considered Uno.
This would be more Uno. The other one they had, I think, the second tight end, right? Or was it a receiver? This would be more of your Uno.
Okay.
Which it doesn't. It's the same thing.
Well, I just want to say we're giving the people more bang for their buck because they signed up for duo and now they're also getting Uno, which I think honestly just means that we're once again under promising and over delivering, which is something I'm really proud of you for doing there, Ian. It's really nice work.
You're very welcome. Now, a quick note on this. Bringing in the receivers to be physical and to help create the double teams, almost like they're tight ends. Texas did that a lot in 2022 and they had Jordan Whittington. LSU, this was almost their entire run game in 2019 when they fielded the greatest college football team I've ever seen in my entire life.
Sure.
They would pack in all their receivers and run duo from spread sets. And the other teams were often in like nickel, dime, anything they could figure out to stop Joe Burrow from throwing it to Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. So when they bring in all their receivers and then just get physical and go straight ahead at them, they'd run them over. I think we may see a little bit of that for Texas next year because they don't have just a ton of big physical older tight ends, but they might have some receivers that are pretty physical. So if we see duo, it may be more of that variety where it's like, hey, bring in those receivers, and then the other team will bring in their defensive backs, and we'll see who's about it.
This has been our Gaps Running Scheme series. We thank you so much for being here. Please, again, check us out at InsideTexas.com, where Ian has been writing a lot about this, especially with the upcoming Arch Manning era. We thank you for being here. These are really fun to bring to you guys. Thanks so much.